today I want to talk about the massive mainstream media price targets for AMC, expecting the stock price to reach upwards of $400 per share. I want to explain why these targets could be very much real and very much happen even without a squeeze scenario, but how that scenario in itself would actually trigger the squeeze. So stay tuned and let's make some money. And now I want to dive straight in with the key information. So, AMC Diamond Hands tweeted saying, look what I've found. Price predictions for AMC even without a squeeze. Now I've actually managed to find the underlying source for these targets, so let's go through their targets and how they've calculated them. So it says based on the average yearly growth of the AMC Entertainment stock in the last 10 years, the AMC Entertainment stock forecast for the beginning of next year is $8.29. Using the same basis, here is the AMC Entertainment Holdings stock price prediction for each year up until 2030. You can see the stock price is expected to increase steadily throughout the years until we get to 2030, seeing a $398 price prediction. Now this basically takes the data and the performance of AMC over the last 10 years and takes that growth in AMC and applies it to the stock price. Basically saying that as AMC continues to improve and continues to recover, the fundamentals alone would bring AMC to $398 per share. Now, I don't want you to think I've given up on a squeeze and I'm only relying on the AMC fundamentals. I think these fundamentals are just one possible catalyst that could cause the squeeze, on top of all of the other catalysts we have at the same time as well. I basically want to call the AMC fundamentals catalyst the same thing as the Tesla fundamentals catalyst, which is pretty much a guaranteed squeeze scenario. So let me explain what I mean by that. We have all of these different scenarios that could indeed cause the squeeze, like the current AMC cost to borrow fee, the AMC FTDs, new regulations, Citadel going bankrupt, other hedge funds going bankrupt, a market crash, and all of these other catalysts that could indeed cause the squeeze. Now, I think the percentage likelihood of some of these scenarios causing the squeeze is higher than others. For example, if Citadel goes bankrupt, it's pretty much a 100% chance of a squeeze. If we see a market crash, I'd say there's a very, very high probability of seeing a squeeze as well. But obviously we have other catalysts, like maybe the FTDs, for example, that are a slightly lower percentage chance of actually causing a squeeze, just because they haven't caused it quite yet. But I think the fundamentals of AMC would cause a guaranteed squeeze the same way that it caused a guaranteed squeeze in Tesla. Obviously, Tesla just continued improving their fundamentals over the last 5 or 10 years, and it did indeed result in Tesla squeezing and squeezing those shorts. The Tesla stock did indeed run from $10 or $20 per share upwards at some points of over $1,000 per share, and this article is predicting the exact same thing for AMC. Basically saying if AMC continues its current growth and recovery, becomes profitable, generates cash, pays down the debt, in the future it will indeed cause the squeeze because the price will naturally move to $400 per share and above. And obviously I think as we started crossing this area here past 30 and past 50 and $60 per share, at that point the shorts would be forced out of their positions, causing the AMC squeeze, similar to the Tesla squeeze. Now, as I've said, this is just one possible catalyst on top of all of the other catalysts we have at the exact same time that are likely to cause the squeeze. But it's interesting to see even mainstream media outlets or just different news publications are starting to predict AMC's price to move upwards. Again, this is also happening at interesting times as we've just seen this tweet from Reuters Europe saying breaking news, AMC Entertainment Holdings files for bankruptcy, citing overwhelming debt burden. Obviously this is FUD news, it's absolute rubbish and AMC is not going bankrupt, but there's actually something much more interesting and much more devious at play here. And with Moomoo you can currently get a guaranteed free share of Tesla or of Google and a $100 cash reward, which you could always use to buy more shares of AMC, GameStop or of Ape. All you have to do is sign up to Moomoo using the link in the description below and make a qualifying deposit. If you want that $100 cash reward and an additional 5 free stocks on top of that, just deposit $100. If you want more free stocks and that guaranteed free share of Tesla or Google, just make the increased qualifying deposit. Signing up to Moomoo is free and just requires a temporary deposit, and it's a great way to support me and to support the channel. If you go to this Reuters Europe page, this is actually a fake Reuters Europe page. As you can see, this page only has 2,500 followers, whereas the real Reuters Twitter account has hundreds of thousands, if not millions of followers. You can also see it's a fake page because it only has this blue verification tick here and not a gold verification tick like bar chart has. But the reason why this is even more nefarious is because somebody has gone out of their way to create a second Reuters Europe page, to copyright the Reuters logo, to pay money for Twitter verification, and to pay money for additional fake followers on top of that. And somebody has gone to all of that effort and spent all of that money just to spread FUD about AMC, trying to convince shareholders and apes to sell their shares. Again, this is either the work of short sellers or paid off shills going that extra mile to create fake pages to try and spread lies. And I think the reason why they're going to these extents is because we're getting closer to the squeeze, as Blackstone's real estate investment trust is announcing major liquidations. Those liquidations that I've been talking about are now finally starting to come through, as many of these real estate funds are liquidating tons of their portfolios in commercial real estate and in assets, as liquidations are striking. Bar chart have tweeted saying Blackstone's real estate investment trust announces major liquidations, including $3.1 billion worth of its commercial portfolio and potentially its holdings in Las Vegas. And this is due to redemption requests for its real estate investment trust continuing to spiral out of control. Now, obviously, I don't know if Blackstone is shorting AMC, but again, this is just another notch on the list of hedge funds that are being liquidated, getting margin called, and having to downsize their funds. This is Blackstone Real Estate Investment Trust, which recently made news for exercising a clause that restricted owners' withdrawals for several consecutive months, has not taken the news lying down. Blackstone is also trying to raise additional cash, similar to Citadel a few years ago, trying to hold an equity raise for billions of dollars. Again, it's likely these hedge funds are worrying because the cost to borrow fee for AMC is on the rise once again, and it's likely to take out that previous high. Stonks Batman tweeted saying the borrow rate for AMC hit 868% per share. This is the highest AMC's cost to borrow has been since April at 979%. Again, we can see from this chart, AMC's cost to borrow fee is moving up strongly, especially as those FTDs are starting to flood back in. I think we're going to see more than just 1,000%, likely closer to 2, 3, 4, or even 5,000% borrow fees. As crystal has drawn based on this increasing trend line, it's likely we'll see upwards of 2,000% cost to borrow fee. Now, something else that's really interesting is, as Mags has tweeted, the FTX tokenized stock for GameStop is actually still active. You may remember I spoke about the AMC Entertainment Holdings tokenized stock FTX that was recently active on crypto.com. We knew the trading finished somewhere around November of 2022, supposedly at $4 per share, but recently become active again where the price fell to just $0.025. Again, it seems like the AMC tokenized stock was being shorted this entire time, lower and lower and lower. But interestingly, if we look at this screenshot, we can see the GameStop tokenized stock FTX is actually still active even to this very day. We can see this screenshot is from July 5th, 2023, where the GameStop stock on FTX is supposedly still moving. Again, it seems to be barcoding massively between $16.81 and $19.62 this entire time. That's not just a 1 or 2 cent move every few seconds or every few minutes, that's an entire $3 movement every few seconds. So it seems the shorts are still up to their old tricks, still trying to manipulate AMC and GameStop through these tokenized securities. And finally, something that made me chuckle is that we seemingly need an infinite liquidity fairy to sell synthetic homes in the housing market. Unusual Wells tweeted saying the number of homes for sale in the US fell to record low levels in May. As Bigham's tweeted, he said, well, yeah, no one can afford to sell because no one wants to lock in new higher rates on a new house. He said they've already locked in mortgage rates under 4%, and this is the problem they're facing. Nobody can afford the small amount of homes on the market, and nobody wants to sell their current property either. So it seems like people are placing orders for new homes on the market, but there's not enough homes available for sale. If only we had someone like Doug Sifu, the infinite liquidity fairy, able to generate synthetic homes to meet those requirements. If only Doug Sifu could sell some synthetic homes to those buyers, he could be that infinite liquidity fairy and make the housing market turn around just like he does the stock market. Which again, saying that out loud just makes it sound even more crazy that Doug Sifu is actually allowed to manipulate the market, facilitating trades where there is not enough shares to go around. If Doug Sifu can't sell synthetic homes into the housing market, why is Doug Sifu allowed to sell synthetic shares and be that liquidity fairy? But guys, be sure to let me know what you think down in the comments below. And as always guys, be sure to ding that notification bell, because that way you'll be alerted when I upload a new video. Cheers.